having on electronics, and they were opening at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving night. I was at my parents' place, and they had over quite a few of our family members from my mom's side of the family. I chatted with all of them, and then had dinner with everyone. Then I left their house to Target to go buy a giant TV. I arrived at Target about 20 minutes before they opened. I saw that there was already a decent-sized line of people waiting to get inside. It wasn't too long though, and I figured I still had a decent chance of getting the TV I wanted. I got out of my car and went to the back of the line, and as I did, I saw a few other people get in line behind me. I waited in line for the remaining minutes until I saw the doors to Target being unlocked. I watched as people started to go inside. Then I walked quickly with everyone else, and once I got inside, beeline for the electronics department.
Black Friday, people were taking everything with them.
It was hard to get through everyone, but I was able to make it there without running into anyone or anything like that. I got to the TVs to see a few people had already grabbed the size and brand that I had wanted, which was 50 inches. I walked quickly over to them, and just as I did, I saw another person grab one to reveal that there was just one more left behind it. I quickly reached out and got the last one. I was so happy to actually have it in my hands, because I had been pretty nervous I wouldn't be able to get it. I knew how quickly they would sell out. Probably 2 or 3 seconds after I had gained full control of it, someone came from my right side and grabbed the TV that I had in my arms. It started to come out of my hands.
Hey, buddy, wait a minute, boy. Hold on, buddy.
The person shoved me, and I almost gave up the TV. I turned and saw a man wearing a blue coat and a slight beard. Looking at me, so he made eye contact. He said that I had his TV. I said sorry to the man that I had gotten the last one. The man started to turn and walk away, but then did a 360 turn and came back to me. He then asked me if I could please give it to him. I really didn't want to, and I said no, I'm sorry. He then told me how he would have got to the TV sooner, but somebody had gotten in his way. Then he added he thought he had got to the TV before me as well. I knew the man was behind me, and I had got to it before him. He had tried to take it out of my hands after I already had it. I didn't want to cause a scene, but I wasn't going to give up the last TV to him, so I told him sorry one last time and started towards the checkpoint. The man followed me all the way there, trying to reason with me. The more we walked, the angrier he became. It came to the point where I just started to ignore him. I finally got to the checkpoint, and he cursed at me and walked away. I checked out and walked my TV to my car in the parking lot. Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Man, he walked that TV. He walked that TV. He walked that TV. He's mad at him. He walked that TV out of his hand. It's crazy, man.
Loaded it up. As I was putting my TV in my car, I saw the man start to approach me once again. This time I got a bad feeling. It was a different environment out in the parking lot where there were less people around. I hurried up as fast as I could and then shut the door. The man was standing there about 20 feet away to pick me off. Then he got into a car that was part of the ride. I ignored him, and I actually felt kind of bad for the guy because I knew how great of a deal I was getting on the TV. But I also didn't know what to think if I was. I started up my car and began to drive away. I drove back to my house.
This man mad over one TV. Wow.
My house was close to the Target, as well as my parents' house.
Crazy. You try to take TV out of his hand.
I noticed a car turn behind me. Then, as I was pulling into my driveway, I saw the car stop in front of my driveway. I got a terrible feeling. The car then started to honk. I looked and saw the man from Target yelling something out his window. Then he sped away in his car. I was glad he was gone, but I was a little concerned that he now knew where I lived. The man seemed to be a little crazy to get so worked up over a TV. I brought my TV in the house, and I locked it up and went back to my parents' for the rest of Thanksgiving. I stayed there until about 10 p.m. and drove back to my place. When I got there, I just felt suspicious. I was worried the guy had tried to break into my house or something when I was gone, but I figured I was just being paranoid. I looked around from my car at my place, and everything seemed fine, so I got out and headed for the front door. But as I made it to about 10 feet from my door, I noticed something. I had a couple of pillars in front of my house. Behind the side of the right pillar, I saw what appeared to be an stopped in my tracks, but said, "Forgot my phone," to myself. I was hoping this would work, and I turned around and started walking back in my car calmly. The man seemed to buy it, and I wanted badly to run to my car, but I decided to remain calm. I didn't hear or notice the man moving at all, but when I reached about 10 feet from my car, I couldn't take it anymore. I broke into a sprint and ran the rest of the way. As I had reached my car, I heard the man now running after me. I got inside quickly and drove away as fast as I could. As I did, I felt something hit the car. It seemed like a rock. I drove back to my parents' place and told them everything. There was a decent-sized dent in the side of my car. I stayed there for the night, and we called the police as well. However, I don't believe the man was ever caught, but at least I never did hear from him again. This happened on Black Friday about 5 years ago. I was a young 19-year-old woman in my second year of college. I lived pretty close to my school, so I was able to work at a nearby clothing store which was in a pretty big shopping center. I was scheduled to work on Black Friday, which I had done the year before. I knew it would be a long shift and really busy, but I also knew I was getting paid extra, so it was worth it. I got to work early on the morning of Black Friday. We opened at 6 a.m. and I was there. The store I worked at was pretty big, so we had a lot of people working. I was mainly a cashier, but I would also do other tasks as well. As I was working at the cash register shortly after we opened, a man came and checked out in my line. He was middle-aged and bald, and I remember he had a missing tooth in the front. As he was standing there, I could feel him just staring at me the whole time. Then he complimented me on my outfit and seemed to give off a bit of a creepy feeling, but I was nice to him and knew it was just part of the job. After that, he left. About an hour later, I moved from cashier to working in the women's department. As I was folding some clothes, I noticed the man once again. We were pretty busy, not enough where people were lined up outside or anything, but we were much busier than any other day. So I found it strange how I saw the same man once again about an hour later. But the part that I really didn't like is how I caught him just staring at me once again. When we made eye contact, he quickly looked away. It was as if he was almost hiding behind a rack of clothes. I did my best to mind my own business, and eventually the man was gone. About 10 minutes later, the man came back. I was still folding clothes in the same area, but this time the man actually approached me. He asked me what I was doing after work. I didn't really give him an answer, I just said I don't know. He then asked if I would go with him. I told him no, sorry, and then he grabbed onto my arm.
Hey, homie.
He said we should just leave.
Hey,
really took
hey, homie, you got 2 seconds left to go when you get killed.
He stopped grabbing me. At that point, there were a few people that noticed, and the man let go of me. He then walked away really fast. After that, I told a coworker, but the man was nowhere to be seen, so I thought he would be gone for good. But later on, probably 5 hours later, I saw him again, and he was staring at me. I was sure by now that the man was stalking me or something, and I was kind of concerned he would follow me when I left. I was getting off in about an hour, and I just hoped I wouldn't see the man when I was done. And I didn't, until 10 minutes before I was off, and I noticed him. I got a coworker to walk out to my car with me. The man didn't follow me because he was leaving, and I drove home. I got home, and thankfully the man didn't follow me. However, that night, I was awoken to a knocking at my front door. I lived with my parents at the time, but I knew it wasn't them or my younger brother because they were all asleep. I lay there confused and
grab my hand like that.
I remember the man was stalking me at the store. Then I got a really creepy feeling. I didn't want to get up or even look out the window. Thankfully, I heard the sound of my brother leaving his bedroom. He said out loud he wondered who was knocking on the door this hour as he walked. It was 2 a.m. I guess my brother had still been up, most likely playing video games. I heard him get closer to the door, and at that point, I left my room to go over and join him and see who was there. As I did, my brother said to me there was nobody there. He then opened the door and stepped out. He looked around and picked up something off the ground, and then came back inside. Once inside, I saw he was holding an envelope. opened it up and pulled out 2 Polaroid pictures. One of them was of my bedroom window, and the other was of the store that I worked at. When I realized this, I just about had a heart attack. I explained the man to my brother. I'm 100% sure he's the one who left the envelope. We both woke up my parents. The police were called. I ended up filling out a report and answering several questions. I got the next few weeks off work, and to my surprise, the next day the man was found at the store once again and caught.
Wait a second, it's the legend. That's you. Yes, sir. I am fulfilling the dream or the want of my son, Ryder. I told Ryder, I said, who are some of the people you want to see? He goes, you remember the guy, Dad, that we were sitting there in NBA All-Star, and he's judging the dunk contest? It's all the greatest sitting at the table.
What up, guy?
How we doing?
Man, bro.
Feel good?
So, what the heck? That's the man, Guy Fieri.
I mean, dude, it gives me goosebumps. At 26 years old? Come on, man.
Bro, I don't know how I was up there. It didn't even make any sense. It was all Hall of Fame dunkers, and I was just there.
I don't know what you brought me to, but this looks like a gigantic Jesser playground. And no, I am not running to the bottom of this parking garage and you're throwing a football over there.
You don't want to do that one?
I'm loaded.
On Black Friday of 2016, I went to Walmart to see the deals that they had. There were a number of things that I was interested in getting.
Yes, sir.
Nothing too big like a TV, but a few small things and some Christmas gifts for people. I went there at about midnight, and the store was pretty busy. It was really weird to see a store that crowded at midnight. I looked around, but it was tough to get around the store with it being so crowded. At one point, I was back by the doors to the back room. They had a little window in them, and I randomly was just looking through it to the back rooms. As I did, I noticed someone walking into the back. They were not a Walmart worker. They wore a ski mask and all black. I thought it had to be some sort of joke or something. There was a worker standing nearby, so I decided to let him know. I told him there was a guy in the back wearing a ski mask. He looked surprised and then asked me to show him where he was. I pointed in the window, and he opened the door and asked me where. We both went inside the back room. It got a lot quieter back there, as there were finally no crowds. I looked in the direction that the man went, and I explained that he was walking that way. Just as I took a few steps in that direction, I felt someone grab me from behind and cover my eyes with their hand. They seemed to be wearing gloves. Then I felt someone else grab my legs, and next thing I knew, I was being picked up by at least 2 people. They carried me a little ways, and then dropped me into what felt like one of those big garbage cans on wheels. I fell onto a bag of garbage. I looked up and saw 2 men in ski masks. They started pushing me and told me to shut up. I wondered how this was going on with no employees seeing this. I couldn't see much, but I saw that we were passing by an open door leading to outside. I don't know what got into me, but at that moment, I felt there was something I had to do. So I jumped against the side, causing the garbage can that I was in to tip over. I fell out of it and got up and began running. I felt the men right on my heels, and once I made it out the door, I took a left for the front end of the store. We were at the side where there was no people, so I ran as fast as I could, and once I made it back to the front, the men stopped chasing me. I ran straight to my car and drove all the way home. Once there, I called the police. I know I should have called them sooner, but my mind was racing, and I was just desperate to get back home where I felt safe. By the time I called, however, I was told there had been other calls about the men in ski masks at that Walmart. I don't know what those men were up to, but I'm so happy I was able to get away. This was on Black Friday 4 years ago. It was in the middle of all the crowded Black Friday possibly a desktop computer as well. They were probably the most popular thing that was going on sale there that day, so I got there a couple of hours early and waited in line. There was quite a few other people waiting, so I brought a chair and some hand warmers and just watched videos and played games on my phone as I waited. I remember there was a guy standing behind me who had short blonde hair. He was just standing there facing me, but not really looking at me the entire time. At one point, I asked him how he was doing, but he didn't answer me. He didn't even look at me at all. The more time went by, it seemed awkward and just really strange as well. At last, finally, the doors to Best Buy were open, and all the people rushed inside. I went to the computers and got the laptop I had been planning on getting. I ended up getting the desktop computer as well. I was there for maybe 30 minutes, and then I left and brought the things to my car. I put them in the front passenger seat, and then went around and got into the car. But as soon as I sat down and started the engine, I looked in my mirror and saw the man who had been standing behind me in line. He was sitting in the back seat of my car. I freaked out and immediately jumped out of the car and ran all the way back inside to Best Buy. I got out my phone and called the police. Once I regained my composure, I went back out into the parking lot, but my car was gone. I realized I had left the keys in it. The police arrived a short time later. They figured the guy was probably planning to rob me, so I guess he got my stuff. I was just lucky to be okay. But the next day, I got a call saying my car had been found abandoned about 10 miles away, and both of my computers were still inside.
What is this? What's a
This
good
story takes place on one of the best nights for kids around America,
video to
but the worst night
make
for me.
on
It was Christmas Eve of 2019. For a little backstory, 3 or 4 months before this event took place, I broke up with my girlfriend. Let's call her Jennifer. The event that caused me to break up with her was she stole over $900 from me. I caught her, and all she said before she left is, "This is dope." Fast forward 3 months to Christmas Eve. Since we live in Texas and have a house in the hill country, every year on Christmas my family usually goes there to celebrate. However, this year I couldn't make it because I had to work. I was 17 years old and had just got a job at my local supermarket, and I had to work all day on Christmas. I stayed home, but I had no problem with being alone. On Christmas Eve night, it was getting late, probably 11 o'clock or so. I decided to take a shower and go to bed as I needed to get up early the next day. As I started to shower, I heard a strange noise from the garage, sort of like a metallic bang. I thought the noise was coming from the heater because I had put the water as hot as it would go. said that's not a bad idea, but to only use it if I had to, and to use it with caution. I quickly realized my dad took his gun with him to the hill country because they were going to a gun range. I informed the dispatcher that the gun was gone. She said to make sure to stay on the line. For a moment,
Again.
I got it.
Do you realize you're not allowed to just do whatever you want?
Can't stay in the baller, baby. I'll do what I want to.
Just sit down so I can start this damn lesson. God, badass kids. Hey, Polo.
I heard a heavy metal shut. I brought it.
Fucking hate my job. Yo, it's good, bro. It's been a minute.
It's like your voice is slowly fading out.
Yeah, well, we never see each other because you never come to class, and every time I call you, you never answer. So maybe that's why it seems like my voice is fading out. But anyways, I fuck with those jeans. Oh, dope. Well, where'd you get it from? I'm trying to get it from you, too.
I got this dress from London.
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely can't go there, so I guess I'm not getting the jeans. But by the way, are you still talking to that one
Yeah, I
Instagram
gotta break
model?
in.
I saw that you
Gotta
unfollowed
break
her
in.
a while ago.
She had Instagram addict. She want fame.
So you're with a new girl now?
Got a low-key freak. I save her pics, but I don't follow her.
Oh, chill. She a freak.
Before I put it in, I smack her ass.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because I'd be doing the same shit. And did you ever talk to that one light-skinned chick that we had class with last year?
Probably fucked her too. It ain't no bitch that I ain't had.
Okay, can y'all quit yapping?
Good God almighty, I fucking hate my job.
Polo, how did you even pass any of your classes last year? Like, what did you do in your math class last year?
Wait till I get out of class. Damn, you fucking shit.
Well, that ain't gonna work this year, bucko. Your ass is gonna flunk.
Ahead of my class, yeah, I always been the smartest.
That's cap. You're literally a full-blown capper. You're actually failing this class. And I don't care about your little rap career. You're not gonna make it very far in life with that crappy work ethic.
Get this shit a year or two, let's see who get the farthest.
Yeah, what with the lyrics and crap, whatever. I'm gonna start this lesson now. Blah, 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 and that's why I'll need to go sub to our second channel. But anyway, quick, simple question. Does anyone in here know what day Christmas is on? Yes, Mr. Polo?
May 18th, 9 o'clock LA time.
No. Are you joking?
I ain't joking, do it sound like I'm
kidding.
Good Lord. Whatever. Are you almost done with your worksheet? It's been like 30 minutes. You should be done by now.
this greatness can't be in a rush.
Bro, why is it taking you so long to finish? Pause.
I was stressed out.
Is that the real reason?
So how did I concentrate?
1:18 in the
Y'all
morning.
little drug addicts. I mean, look at Noah. He's already finished his work. He answered all the questions.
That's a
I
female.
fell back in shock and then dialed 911.
Let me talk
Cops
to you
were
for a
at my
second.
location.
Shut the fuck up, I mean, please don't
I
talk.
told them what
Yes,
happened,
I'm
and they went to the house across the street. They searched it and found nothing. They told me there were no signs of anyone there since the horrifying murders that had took place in that very house.
You know what?
I was shocked. I
I'm gonna
hadn't
ignore
heard of
you
anything
because you're a
happening
little
at all in that
attention
house,
seeker,
as
and
it
your
was
little
an
attention
ongoing
seeking ass
investigation.
wants this dialogue.
The cops
I'm
were
gonna
not
get on
able
with the
to get
lesson.
me
I'm not gonna give you any
I still
attention. Okay, so
desperately
basically,
wanted to
if you
know.
envision 30
The next day,
degrees,
I
this
did
is
some
how
research,
big.
and what I found remained the same.
Okay, you get it. Okay,
On
great.
December
I'm saying, if you
31st,
take a
a
whole
mother and
cylinder,
her
a
son
whole
were brutally
sphere, and
murdered
you...
inside that very house.
I'm
December
explaining it,
31st,
Polo.
I looked
If
everything
you take
together
the
and
circumference
stared
of
at myself in the mirror in pure horror.
YouTube channel,
Okay.
Events that took place to this day have changed me forever. The
bro,
next 8
I'm
months,
not done
I quit
explaining
my
it. You
job
can't be saying I was
and
getting
therapy.
I'm not done explaining it. So I'm trying to explain this.
I
If you
would
look
wake
at
up
a
at late hours
cylinder
of the
from
night to see
the
the
top...
Oh, okay, so you get it? You got it? You need to say nothing? Okay, we'll just move on. I'll move on to the next thing then. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to read an excerpt from this famous speech. Okay, so it starts out, 7 years ago, that I had a dream that loveless...
Wait, slow it down.
I can't... And 7 years ago...
Wait, slow it down.
Bro, I can't read... Love Live Serve at 10 million
Wait,
subscribers.
slow it down.
Polo, I know you're fucking bullshit. No, bro, I can't read any slower. Just pay attention. Subscribe to this channel and the second channel.
Wait, slow it down.
Okay. I can literally not read slower than that, dude. Y'all better subscribe to the channel.
Wait, slow it down.
You know what? Growing up, I was in a single-parent household, and my dad was an alcoholic, and it affected me, and I was bad in school, and I was poorly behaved. And
What?
what did you just say? So, with my dad, stuff, it taught me how not to act. So what I'm trying to know
where the story really gets interesting.
dude, I'm opening up here. So what I'm saying is, I try my best to help y'all, but some of y'all don't want to help yourself. And when you guys are bad, it upsets me because I'm single and my wife is having her own problems and is ridiculous and a drama queen, and it just, I come here to try to help y'all and... Okay, alright. So you don't care, okay. Whatever. Cool, that's it. I'm done for today. Both y'all, go to the principal's office. I'm not doing this anymore. Bye. I'm done. Fuck this. Fuck this. Y'all bad asshole. Yo, Polo, why'd you bring that duffel bag to class?
Keep at least 200 down on me. Keep at least like 30 rounds on me.
Pretty sure you can't have that in school, but anyways, how much was that change?
$250,000 for watching the game.
Oh, wow, $250,000. Can I touch it? Yeah, my bad. I didn't want to take it. I just wanted to play with it. Stupid idea. Sorry, my bad. Stupid. I just wanted to touch it.
Say what I see, you gon' die, nigga. It's kinda simple.
Okay, well, I don't want to die. Are you mad at me? Because you look kind of pissed.
I do nigga when I'm pissed off.
Okay, alright. Well, I don't want any of that. Just grab it.
Right.
I'm pissed off. Just wanted to play with it. Stupid idea. Sorry, my bad. Stupid. I just wanted to touch it.
Say what I see, you gon' die, nigga. It's kinda simple.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to die. Are you mad at me? Because you look kind of pissed.
I'm a different nigga when I'm pissed off.
Okay, alright. Well, I don't want any of that. Just grab my pencil real quick.
Just built an inventory tracker for routine calculator. Look there at that.
Discover the American University.
For the group lunch.
Crash duty schedule.
Since no one seems to care.
You guys built a
I just created a goal tracking system.
We built the same thing, didn't we?
Yep.
Can this thing manage contact? Is that too quiet? I want to animate the scrap.
Create a party planner. Profesor de Español. An inter-office dating app. For dogs. For office dogs. You know what I mean?
So put some hands on my back. So put some hands on my back.
EVE Online is a vast universe, alive with the unrelenting activity and combined history of its players, pursuing lives of adventure, warfare.
They were able to locate the man, and he was caught. I'm so glad that my mom came into my room when she did. She comes up to sit in my lap, and I give her the usual spiel, asking her name, how old she is, if she's excited for Christmas and all that stuff. Then, when it comes to asking her what she wants me to bring her on Christmas Eve, she starts thinking about it, smiling at first before she suddenly gets super serious with a touch of sadness. I'm asking her if she's okay, what the problem is, and she's shaking her head, acting like she doesn't want to tell me anything. I take the time explaining that no matter what she asks for, I'll try my very, very best to bring it to her, no matter how big or small it is. That Santa always tries his best to bring good little girls and boys what they ask for on Christmas. She takes a moment. Then the exchange goes a little something like this. You mean it, Santa? You can get me anything I want for Christmas? Anything. Anything you want. Just tell me and I'll do my best. Okay, well... And at this point, she lowers her voice to a whisper and leans in my ear. I want my boyfriend to stop hitting me. Can you make that happen? I was sort of dumbstruck for a second. Like all of the things I thought she was going to ask. That would most definitely not have topped the list. I remember just nodding at first, trying to find the
I'm
words
trying to
and
figure out what the hell.
being like, I'll make that happen for you, sure. No problem. She was so happy to hear that I'd fix it for her, and gave me the biggest hug I think I'd ever received while working as a mall Santa. I had to put on a huge smile, and of all the times I've had to fake being jolly and merry, that time with her was the hardest. But I just felt numb, like completely broken by what I'd heard, and I just tried my best to get through the rest of the session without bursting into tears. I remember all these thoughts rushing through my head, terrifying ideas of institutional abuse. She said boyfriend, and that made it extra creepy. Like, sure, it could have been just another guy in her care group or something, another adult with learning difficulties who she'd hooked up with somehow, but there was nothing to say that it wasn't a member of her care team that was, like, abusing her, in a completely different sense, too. Not just physically, but, well, you catch my drift. So when the session was over, I approached the member of the care team that had organized the trip and had accompanied them to the mall. I didn't let anything slip. I just told them how great I thought the session had gone and asked a few details about the group that had organized them. As it turned out, they were all from the same care home type thing, so I made a note of the name of the place as well as the name of the girl that was apparently being abused. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just kept picturing some evil monster abusing that poor girl.
No, we gotta skip.
Going to have to either live with them for the rest of their life, or was going to head into a group home at some point so she could have some measure of independence. So when I explained the situation with the special needs girl I met as a mall Santa, it obviously hit the guy right in the feels, as the topic was so close to home. The detective tells me that he'll look into it, thanks me for letting him know. I get him to promise to tell me if anything comes of it, and he says yes, and we hang up. And that was the last I heard of it for like a month. Then after maybe 5 or 6 weeks, I'd almost forgotten about the whole thing. Christmas was over, the mall Santa job was way behind me, and I was back to working my regular hours as a self-employed mechanic. Then I get a call from a number that seems vaguely familiar, although I wasn't quite sure why. Turns out it was my buddy's detective cousin, who reminded me of the tip that I'd given him about the care company. Of course I remembered, but by that time I really didn't think anything would come of it, but oh, how wrong I was. The detective thanks me for the information, and although he told me he couldn't say too much, he told me to keep an eye out on local media outlets. The next thing I know, it's all over the local papers that there's been a misconduct scandal involving a local care company. I picked up a copy and read the story, only to find out that it's the very same one I had reported. The long and short of it is that the cops had uncovered endemic levels of abuse in the company, stuff that varied from financial discrepancies to straight-up physical abuse, and sickeningly enough, there was even cases of care workers taking advantage of mentally disabled females in ways that were seriously inappropriate. There were numerous arrests, with some of the sleazier and violent criminals looking like they were going to get years in prison for how long they so cruelly taken advantage of some of the most vulnerable people in society. It made me sick to my stomach to read about how some people could bring themselves to do something like that. But it was stopped, and I felt incredible that I'd actually managed to be a part of the chain of events that brought the whole thing crashing down. I just hope that that poor girl, who was obviously pretty traumatized by what was happening to her, and just not being able to understand why it was happening either, found some measure of peace after it. And in a way, Santa did kind of bring her exactly what she wanted, even if it wasn't on Christmas Day, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a thought that never fails to make me tear up.
It turns out that AI was missing something. You and Wix Harmony figured that out. Okay, this is where you start. Basically, it's creating the same way that you think. I I type in, I need a site for my surf brand. It should feel adventurous and exciting. And now I'm looking at the business that I just described.